every January for the last 2 years, I've completed a daily continuous line drawing for 30 days in a row. This is a quick, simple, expressive sketch, 5 minutes or less, of a simple object or item in my home. This is one of my favourite sketching techniques, requiring just a single pen and a piece of paper. And it's one I return to again and again to fill those sketchbook pages. But I tell you what, from this simple daily starting point, I've learnt so much about my drawing skills, about observation, and about my creativity. So let me tell you what I've learnt from this, why I do this every single year, and how you can enjoy all these wonderful creative benefits too. So my name is Susan Yates, and I'm an artist and author, and importantly host of the annual 30-day sketchbook challenge, and that starts on New Year's Day every single year. I started this challenge back in 2018 as a way to get myself back into sketching and drawing. I had lost my creative mojo and frankly felt a little bit meh. So for 8 years running now, I have hosted this annual 30-day challenge and invited others to come along with me for the journey. And what I want to show you today are my last 2 sketchbooks where I attempted the challenge myself but approached it with a little bit of a difference. So let's dive in. Now, the first thing I learned from sketching every day in this continuous line method in these sketchbooks is that you actually don't need tons of fancy materials to get sketching regularly. In this book, for example, which is one that I used in 2023, I just used a single fountain pen for every single sketch that I did every day. And I find that sometimes by having so much choice of materials, it can be overwhelming and you almost don't know where to start with what material you use, let alone actually getting sketching. And there's an amazing freedom in just knowing that you need a single pen, a single sketchbook, and you can just get sketching really quickly and easily. Now, the second thing that I learned from sketching like this every day and sketching for 30 days in a row is that you actually only need about 5 minutes a day to do something creative. This sketchbook, for example, is the one that I did in 2024, and I did just 5 minutes a day in this handmade little sketchbook. It's not very big at all. It's smaller than a postcard sized. And again, this meant that it was very easy to fit into my day and that I was able to tap into my creativity on a regular basis, drip, 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 feeding that creativity and just giving me the opportunity to sketch, to create, even just a little something made me feel a little bit better every single day. Now, for the third thing that I learned from this sketching challenge, from drawing for 30 days in a row, is that even the most simplest, mundane or boring objects can actually be really, really interesting to draw. Now, very often when I'm sketching, I do observational sketching, and a lot of the sketching that I've done throughout these sketchbooks is of day-to-day objects that I've found in my home. Things like my shoes, things like my toothbrush, my coffee cup, things that perhaps we don't look at in that creative way very often, things that we sort of glance over, that we pass by, that we don't look at. But still life is a very recognised topic in the art world, basically drawing inanimate objects. So you can just take all of those objects that are littered around your house that are next to you to draw from. You don't need to go far for really, really interesting inspiration. Now, the fourth thing that I learned from doing a 30-day sketchbook challenge is that by setting yourself rules or guidelines for a challenge or a project can give a lot of creative freedom. Now, for example, I set myself guidelines of specifically doing a continuous line drawing every single day in a fountain pen, so just using one single pen and using one single sketchbook. I didn't time myself, but having a relative short amount of time rather than I just could sketch all day. Giving myself these guidelines means that every time I was like, right, I've got my sketching prompt, go. Everything was mapped out so that I could just get sketching straight away. So I personally found having these guidelines very freeing because I knew what the rules were and I could just get going. Now, the next thing I learned from drawing in the continuous line method for 30 days in a row was that it really improved my powers of observation. And this was helped because I was mostly drawing from real life. I was drawing objects or things that were around me, that were in my home, that were suggested by the 30 different challenge prompts. So I find that by doing observational drawing, and especially quick observational drawing, I had to observe. And I found what I did was my eyes would trace around the object. And as I traced my eyes up one side of the object, my hand was drawing a line, drawing that side of the object. And by 30 days of this repeated practice, the hand-eye coordination has improved. That ability to look at something and see the shape and then make a line that's roughly similar to that shape down on the page had improved. Now, one of the most important things that I've learned from sketching for 30 days in a row is that I get more creative ideas generally when I'm doing something creative every day. What it does is it helps those connections in my brain to be firing daily, and then other creative ideas just appear. I have some of my best ideas when I'm doing a sketchbook challenge. So January every year, I come up with crazy ideas and things that I want to do, books that I want to write, courses that I want to launch, YouTube videos that I want to share. This is one of the biggest and most wonderful things about doing a creative challenge, is that it just generally makes you more creative and helps with that ongoing creative thinking. Now, the next thing that I've learned from sketching daily for doing 30 days in a row is that it just gets easier the more you do it. When I first started the 30-day sketchbook challenge back in 2018, my sketching skills were rusty. I wasn't sure what to draw. There was a lot of overthinking going on my part. And then every year that I've done it, it has got easier and easier and easier. And even when I do a sketchbook challenge, the first few days I think are the hardest as well. And as you progress through, and you get through a week, you get through 2 weeks, you get through 3 weeks, that last week I find the easiest. So I know that the first sketchbook challenge that you might do might be a challenge, and it might be hard to get through it, but once you start and once you continue, it all gets easier. Now, the next thing I learned from using the continuous line drawing in particular as a method for sketching daily is that it loosened up my drawing. Because I only had 5 minutes, because I was only working in pen, I could just loosen up, because I know that when I'm doing the continuous line drawing method, it's not necessarily going to be accurate or perfect or correct. It's got a certain style, it's got a certain looseness, and it also just helped me to loosen up all of my other sketching methods, so that when I then pick up a pencil and perhaps I am doing something more accurate, I just found I was generally a little bit more relaxed with making mistakes, a bit relaxed with the way I put my pencil onto the paper. I wasn't as hesitant. So certainly doing something like this can really help to loosen up your sketching. Now, the other thing I've learned from taking part in sketchbook challenges, whether it's my own or whether it's other projects, is that I always have a lot of fun, and I've learned to be kind to myself. I've had a real old giggle sometimes when a sketch that I've done has gone a bit squonky, a bit funny, and hasn't really looked how I've wanted to, or I've come up with a better idea later in the day. I've also really enjoyed being part of a community, and together, everybody is sketching the same prompt in so many different ways every day. And that community where you can geek out about materials, sketchbooks, different ways of interpreting a prompt is just so much fun. So I highly recommend you take part in a challenge like this, because it's so fun and you learn so much about yourself. Now, the final thing that I've learned from sketching every day 30 days in a row as part of a sketchbook challenge is that sketching is definitely a journey and not a destination. Creating sketches is not the end result. I'm not selling these sketchbooks as pieces of artwork. This is a journey of creativity, a journey of learning things, of experimenting. And I think this is what is great about coming to an annual challenge, an annual event, is that each year you progress. Every year is a journey. It's the experience of putting the pen on the paper, of taking some time out just for you to enjoy your sketching on a daily basis. That's where the wonderful benefits come from. And I certainly know from my point of view, I'm definitely a nicer human being when I'm sketching daily or sketching regularly. So come along and enjoy the journey, and I certainly recommend doing some regular sketching, daily sketching. It is a wonderful, wonderful journey to go on. So I hope you found that quick dive into my 2 previous 30-day sketchbook challenge sketchbooks interesting, and that it highlighted to you some of the wonderful benefits of taking part in a sketching or drawing challenge such as my annual 30-day sketchbook challenge. I really find that by doing a small amount of sketching every day, it really boosts my creativity. And being on New Year's Day, it's one of those fabulous New Year's resolutions. So I'd like to invite you to join me for the annual 30-day sketchbook challenge this year. Just head over to susanyates.co.uk/sketchbook challenge to find out more how you can join in and get some of these wonderful benefits that I've enjoyed and thousands of others have too over the past 7 years. And if you would like to explore the continuous line method that I explained in this video and I showed you through my 2 sketchbooks, then head on over to my sketching tutorial which shows you how to draw cups in the continuous line method. So thank you for watching this video and happy sketching. I'll see you soon.